to a school for admission, the teachers, the principal, the management say, look, we don't have blind students in our school because our teachers are not trained. So education is compromised, and what I realized was people did not know how to respond, and therefore it was more a challenge of the mind rather than the blindness itself. And I just felt that we needed to do something about it, and that's how Project iWay was born. It is to share knowledge, it is to empower people with information, it is also to people who need support, to connect them with resources. It is also when discrimination happens, there's a lot of discrimination happens because people do not know how to deal with blindness. So that discrimination, like for example, people are not given admission, people are not given bank accounts, people are not given employment, while the law very clearly says you can't discriminate. So there is discrimination, and when discrimination happens, somebody has to stand up and advocate for change. So that's something that we do, and we also travel and engage with different groups, sensitizing them. Now, so all this process involved maybe resulted in us producing radio programs, television shows, social media activities, training programs, and so on. Now, the message that, or the lessons that I have learned doing all this, my years in college, my years in school, my years as an advertising professional, promoting cricket for the blind, traveling the world, there are 4 things that I learned which I would like to share with you this morning. And this is the task I'm going to give you. Today we are living in a world where the world is fast becoming digital. Is that correct? So when we are preparing to go into a digital world, it's important for us to understand technology, learn technology, and use technology. Whether it is, we hear the latest buzzword is ChatGPT. Now, it's an AI-driven platform, and it's very new. We all know very little about it. Do you guys use ChatGPT at any stage? Maybe the principal would say, this is a no-no. But I think you should try it out at home. It's a wonderful tool which can kind of give you access to the next level of life. ChatGPT is one, then the social media where you and then the technology which is related to computers. All this is kind of going to be the order of the day going forward. And I think it's important for us as young people to actually look at technology positively and see how it can be used to enhance whatever we want to do. So that is the first learning that I would like to share with you. Technology is very critical. Now let me also tell you that as a blind boy growing up in India, till the age of say 55, there was one passion which I was denied, which was the passion of reading. I could not see, and the books are all available in print. Whatever books I had read to that point were books that my mother had read out to me, my father had read out to me, my friends had read out to me, and my wife had read out to me. And those were very few books. So when technology came into my life, I suddenly found various apps and tools which opened up a world of books. There is a site which I use called Bookshare, which has got more than 50 lakh titles, including academic books, in e-text format, in audio format, which can be listened to on your phone or on any kind of device. At the same time, if you don't want to use the phone and the audio, you can also print those books into Braille and you can read it. So there are a lot of technological advances which has enabled people who can't see to actually access books. And in the last 9 years, I've read nearly 1,500 books. So my favorite genre is crime thrillers. And I love reading John Grisham, David Baldacci, what's his name, Michael Connelly, and so on, Patricia Cornwell. Now these are all books that I read, and on my flight here from Delhi to Sharjah, I was reading a book by Mr. Ramchandra Guha, which was The Commonwealth of Cricket. I am a cricket buff and I love cricket, and Ram happens to be a senior of mine in college. So I was kind of curious to know what he had written, and it's a fascinating read. I've also read a book by Ram Guha which is called India After Gandhi, which is a lovely book, and I would recommend that maybe you people should read it. He's a fairly balanced writer, and he writes very well. So, so it opened up a world of reading to me, and it also kind of connected me with the rest of the world. You know, like today, we talk to friends and professional contacts across the world. It also gave me the opportunity to launch a podcast. Podcast, you know. It's a podcast called iWay Conversations, and this was a gift to me by the pandemic, because it was during the pandemic that I saw a little email where it said, people who want to learn audio editing using screen readers, send me a mail. So and it was a 15-week course. I did the course, and the following week I started my podcast, and I've done close to 80 podcasts since April of 2021, and they're all very, very inspiring and enlightening podcasts, conversations that I have with blind and visually impaired people and other people who are associated with the domain across the world. So it's an interesting thing. It's mostly in English. There are one or two where Hindi is used, but though I say it myself, it's an interesting conversation. So that is technology, the kind of doors that technology has opened up for me. The other thing I would like to say is, today we are living in a knowledge economy, which means that our status in the community is based on what we know, you know, and that's something which I learned very early. And I think it's important for us to focus on gathering knowledge on every subject under the sun, simply because we don't know whom we meet where. And suppose, for example, you're flying somewhere or you're in a bus, it's most unlikely that you'll meet Satya Nadella on a bus. But if you're flying somewhere or you're in a train in the US, you might suddenly bump into somebody like Satya Nadella, and you'd like to have a conversation with him. If you do not know who Satya Nadella is and what his company does, you might not be able to have a meaningful conversation with him. That's an extreme example, but I think it's important for us to know. It is people who know who are in demand. You know, when you want to know how to solve a problem on Microsoft Office, you will actually go to somebody who knows how to use Microsoft Office. You are not going to ask me or somebody else who may not be a particularly tech savvy person. So it is critical for us to know, so that we command a value in society, in the community, because we know and we are able to contribute basis our knowledge. The third point which I realized is that we need to develop skills. The CBSE, I don't know what the scene is today, but, and I'm speaking at a CBSE school, so I should be careful. You know, the days that I was growing up, the days my children were growing up, it was essentially rote learning, which means that you tend to mug up answers and spit it out when the exam comes. And people get 99 and 99.5 and so on. Amazing marks. You know, my older daughter, she studied in a CBSE school till class 10. She used to hate the class because everything had to be remembered. Dates had to be remembered, names had to be remembered, descriptions had to be remembered. And at class 10, she struggled through the exam, and she told us, this education is not worth the while. I'm just wasting my time. Fortunately for us, we got to know about a school in Mussoorie, which was based on what they call I think it's the IB, or the baccalaureate. I think it is called the baccalaureate. Yeah. So we managed to get her admission in that school, and those 2 years totally transformed her. Simply because she was telling me that the first day a teacher came to the class, showed them a 5-minute film on a particular topic, and then said, they had a preliminary discussion, and then they said, you please go back and do your research. Next week we will have a brainstorming on this session, and the following week we would like you to prepare a paper on the subject. And that was the kind of engagement that she got introduced to. The way mathematics was taught, the way history was taught, the way the other subjects were taught. At the end of 2 years, she became a totally different animal. She was confident, and she could talk on any subject with authority, because she had learnt the art of gathering knowledge, the art of communication, the art of analysis, the art of research. These are all skills that she picked up in that class 11 and 12, which held her in great stead when she went on to do her history honors at St. Stephen's, and then later sociology at the Delhi School of Economics. And today she actually uses those skills in her day-to-day professional work, which is research, communication, presentation skills. So while we are in school, we need to focus and be sensitive to the fact that we are here not only to get our marks, but we are here to get skills that is going to hold us in good stead tomorrow as you go on to the world. So that is skill. And the final point I'd like to leave with you today is attitude. Today we say, oh, this guy has an attitude, which is normally a negative connotation. But I think attitude is very, very critical. Positive attitude, because we live in a world, which is very competitive. We live in a world which is packed with hurdles. We live in a world which is packed with problems, and everything seems difficult. And the older we get, the world seems to be that much tougher to live in. And the truth is that the world is tough. And I think if our mindset is not adequately prepared for a tough world, we could be in deep trouble. And it's important for us to be positive. We need to constantly look for solutions. We need to constantly look for ways forward. And believe me, friends, having studied mathematics for 5 years in college and university, I believe that every problem has a solution, because my textbooks were full of problems. But the good news was that every problem in that book had a solution. And I think that rubbed off on the way I thought in life. So as a blind person living in this world, my problems are even more than what a sighted citizen would face. Every step, I'm going to Sharjah, how will I manage to negotiate the airport? Problem. I'm going to go out for lunch. How will I manage to know what the menu card is? Problem. I get back to the hotel. How do I get back to the room? Problem. So a blind person probably has the problem which an able-bodied person has, plus the problems imposed on him because of the blindness. And what has held me in good stead is that every problem has a solution. The point is, you got to look for it. Think about it. So the task I've given you today is technology, attitude, skill, and knowledge. Keep this task, be aware of it, and live this task, and you would get on in life pretty well. Thank you. So, do we have a question answer session right now? All right.
Thank you, sir.
So I'll stay here? Okay, okay.
Thank you, sir, for your words of enlightenment. Now the floor is open for questions. Sir?
No, I'm good, thank you. I don't want to give out the numbers, but I'm pretty young.
Sir,
Yeah.
how do you maintain a positive mindset and stay motivated when faced with seemingly insurmountable obstacles?
The answer is pretty simple. As I said during my talk, that every problem I believe has a solution. It's only about time and patience and resilience that gets you the solutions. That is point number one. Point number two is I'm very ambitious. I have aspirations even today at my age. I have aspirations of what I would like to do over the next 5 years. So it is always good to have aspirations and believe in it and pursue it. And that keeps your mind focused, and you tend to think positive, and you're constantly looking at how to deal with the path that you're taking to fulfill your aspirations. So I think positive thinking emerges from the fact, the knowledge that problems can be resolved, and the fact that you have a purpose in life. So you have no time to be negative about anything.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you can clap whenever you want.
Sir,
Yeah.
in your opinion, what role does a self-belief play in achieving our goal? How can students cultivate a strong sense of belief in themselves?
Self-belief is, to my mind, very critical. That's where another word for self-belief, I guess, is confidence. And it's confidence that drives you forward. How do you build self-confidence is by actually living life. It is experience that actually generates and nurtures self-belief. And I think, one of the things the things that have actually helped me are the family, for example. They did inject a fair bit of confidence in me, because they trusted my abilities, my talents, and the potential. They invested in me, so that was very important. Then I think the school where I studied, the kind of belief that the school had, the teachers, the principal, and my classmates, the kind of support they gave me, the very fact that the principal thought it was worthwhile going out of the way to create a new group for me in class 9, I think was testament to the fact that he believed that I had a possibility in life. So I think this is one side of the story. The second side of the story is that I realized the results of working hard and being resilient. I suddenly realized that it works, and as they say, as the movie's title goes, Lage Raho Munna Bhai. So I just thought to myself, Lage Raho George Abraham, and you'll get going.
Thank you, sir. Sir, which way or how...
Where are you speaking from? Left or right? Okay, okay.
So how has Project Ivy connected people?
Come again?
How did Project Ivy connect people?
Okay. Ivy is, when you share knowledge, when we produced a radio program called Ivy Ye Hai Roshni Ka Karwan, people suddenly realized that the people who are broadcasting this radio program know what it is to live life with blindness. Therefore, a lot of people who had the challenge of blindness started calling us up, and they wanted to share their challenges with us. So I just realized that when you share knowledge and when you share information, people will connect with you, number one. Number two, the connection that we do is when people have certain challenges and problems, certain issues, we connect them with organizations and professionals who can help them. For instance, when a person calls up and says, I'm blind and I want to do a management degree, what then happens is that we tell them about how blind people can do an MBA. Still there are questions like, it involves a lot of mathematics. The entrance test is very complicated. So in such situations, we connect them with organizations and individuals who have experienced the process of competing for the entrance exam for the MBA, and also who've been through MBA school, so that the caller can actually ask their questions, and people who have been through the experience is able to share their experience and learning and understanding of the process. So we connect people. People connect with us because they believe that we know, and people will connect with you if they think you know. So that's very critical. And secondly, we connect people who have certain needs with people we know who can service those needs. So that's how we connect people.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have a question. You had set up the World Cup cricket, and what were the challenges that you faced, and how did you turn this innovative idea of yours into reality?
That's a question with a long answer and a possible short answer as well. So I'll opt for the short answer. There were challenges. One was the challenge of raising the resources for the event. When they say that you're involved with cricket, people think it's a cakewalk because the kind of money that IPL gets, the kind of money that mainstream cricket gets. But believe me, girls, it's only the glamour part of cricket that gets the money. The serfs or the people on the ground who are trying to survive and play, follow their passion, very little money comes our way. So money was one, financial resources was one. The second challenge was to get the committed manpower to actually put the event together, because one man can have a dream and an idea, but to execute that idea like a World Cup, you need a full-fledged team, a team that's committed, a team that is willing to dream with you, a team that has got the skills and the wherewithal to actually do the things that is required for putting together an event like a World Cup. The third challenge, I believe, was getting, when you do an international event, there are a lot of government processes that have to be gone through, permissions have to be got. Now, dealing with the government in any country, including India, is not the easiest. And so that needed addressing. The fourth thing is, one more thing, that when it's cricket, the media would come in and give it all kinds of publicity. But I realized the hard way that yes, when Virat Kohli and Shubman Gill and Adam Gilchrist are playing, the media will come and cover. But when blind cricketers are playing, nobody wants to cover because it costs money. There's no advertising there, and it's more of a social commitment that they get into covering the event. And in fact, the finals of the World Cup was covered by television, but it was Doordarshan, which is the public broadcasting company of the government of India. So that's a public broadcaster, so they are kind of, part of their mandate is to cover these kind of events. So that was done, but the other private channels like ESPN and Star Sports and Z Sports and 10 Sports and so on, they just came to the ground, showed a few snippets and had a 2-minute slot on their channels. So media coverage was difficult. And then fifthly, because funds were limited, the logistics to put together a world-class event also becomes a challenge. So these were the challenges that we faced. I think how did one go about solving it is, number one is to understand the problem in its entirety, understand the challenges in its entirety, understand the project in its entirety, and know exactly what needs to be done when, and then is to find the people. That was a challenge, as I mentioned, but I was lucky to actually run into people, meet people. So I went out and every second person I met, I would talk about the World Cup. And maybe every sixth person I met would say, I would like to be part of this World Cup. So that's how one put people together, a bunch of passionate people. And then when the event actually happened, I went to St. Stephen's College, my alma mater, and told the National Service Scheme or the Social Service League, and I said, I need volunteers. I need 150 volunteers. And the 150 young students, boys and girls, put up their hands and said, we will be there. And that's how we put the event together. We also had some struggles with fundraising. So in such situations, the operative word is innovation. You've got to think on your feet, out of the box, and you'll find ways to put it together. And I believe in the famous poem, little drops of water, little grains of sand make the mighty ocean and the pleasant land. This is H.W. Longfellow. So take one step at a time, and cover the ground, and you'll find that by the time, if you diligently go about it, you will reach your goal. So I think that's the long and short of the World Cup.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, can you share any humorous instance where you acted or behaved differently?
Yeah, okay. When I was in college, I'm temperamentally an outgoing person. I'd like to make friends. I'd like to meet people. I'd like to explore possibilities. And I don't hesitate to talk to people. And one afternoon, a friend and I, we were going to Connaught Place. This is in New Delhi. And so we noticed that there were two girls sitting right in front of us. And they were first year students. My friend was an MA student and I was in third year. And these girls were sitting, and like all girls, they were also chattering away. I believe girls talk more than boys. Since I grew up I live in a family where I'm the only man. So I do all my talking outside the house because I don't get an opportunity inside the house. So these two girls were talking away, and since we were boys, we were quiet, so we had nothing much to talk, so we were just sitting around. My friend was looking out of the window while I was listening to I was forced to listen to the conversation that was happening in front of me. So I got the gist of what they were talking, and then at a particular stop they got off. It so happened that the next day I was sitting in the library, and the girl sitting next to me, when I heard her voice, I realized it was the same girl who was sitting in the bus in front. So I turned around and asked her, so fresher, is your name Anita? She said yes. Do you travel by bus number 210 when you go home? She said yes. Do you like Rajesh Khanna movies? She said yes. Do you like eating butter chicken at Moti Mahal? She said yes. Then I asked her, do you like going out for eating out regularly with your friends? And she said yes. And then I said, if you want to know more, let's meet in the cafe. Okay, next question.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Nobody Nobody asked me.
Sir, we
Yeah.
know that you are a good singer and guitarist. We would love to hear you sing. Could you please enthrall us with your song?
You're getting me into trouble. Oh, you also have a guitar. Okay, this is a kind of conspiracy. And I think it is Sri Walson conspiracy. Okay, I must tell you a little story behind the singing because I think it makes more sense. Because otherwise you'll all get up and walk out. As a kid growing up, I grew up at a time when there was this guy who would do you, odi odale, odi edale. So this was a gentleman called Kishore Kumar, and he came, though he was in the industry from 1940, mid 1940s, he started singing as a serious singer in 1968 or 69 when the film Aradhana came into being. And that was the film that made Rajesh Khanna, and that was the film that actually made Kishore Kumar into a national icon. And so that was the time I was in school, and and we would every other day be listening to Kishore. But what the truth was, the reality was, every time I sang, singing for most of us began in the bathroom. So I was singing in the bathroom, and very often I would hear voices saying, "Oh, shut up." This continued through school, this continued through college. College is where I learned to strum the guitar and sing a few songs. I'm not much of a guitarist, but I did sing, and I also developed an interest in English country music and so on. So, and it was when I got married that one day my wife said, why don't you sing more often? And I was not sure whether she was actually being honest or whether she was pulling my leg. But then I realized that, I got drafted to singing in the church choir. And one day the choir master asked me to sing a few lines as a solo. And, and I realized that, okay, I keep tune, my voice is not too repulsive. And, I can pass off as a reasonable singer. So, what I'm going to sing today is not going to be a Kishore Kumar song, because I've not really practiced any Kishore Kumar song with the guitar. So, it might not be right for me to disappoint you guys by trying to sing एक अजनबी हसीना से कुछ ऐसी बात हो गई. So I'm not going to sing any Hindi song. Let me sing an English song. Where's the guitar? No, okay. I thought the guitar also had run away after hearing my voice. I think it might be useful. Or if you can get me a... There's a chair here. Okay. Probably need a mic, right? Yeah, I'll hold the mic. Yeah. Okay, I'll hold the mic. Got the mic? Okay. This is a song sung by a singer called James Taylor. He's, again, I don't know whether any of you have heard him sing. I love his voice, and this is a Scottish ballad which he sang. It's a long song. I will only sing maybe the first verse. One morning, one morning, one morning in May, I spied a couple, they were making their way. One was a maiden, so bright and so fair, and the other was a soldier and a brave volunteer. Good morning, good morning, good morning, said he. And where are you going, my pretty lady? I'm going out a walking to the banks of the sea, just to see the waters rising, hear the nightingales sing. Now they had not but been standing for a minute or two, when out of his knapsack a fiddle he drew. And the tunes that he played made the valleys all red. Oh, how cried the maiden, hear the nightingale say. Oh, maiden, fair maiden, it's time to get home. Oh no, kind soldier, please play one tune more, for I'd rather hear your fiddle and the touch of one string than to hear the waters rising and a nightingale sing. So just one second. There's one more verse which is interesting. I'll be going down to London, we'll stay there for a year. And it's often I'll think of you, my little dear. This is the problem. Lyrics. Mr. Google is not working for me here. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering our questions.
A very good morning to all. On behalf of all students, I'm glad to be standing here to express my vote of thanks. Let me take this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation and gratitude to our chief guest, Mr. George Abraham, for accepting our invitation and for being here with us today. Your words of wisdom and encouragement have truly inspired us and have opened our eyes to envision life in meaningful ways. I would like to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Srivalsan Murugan, Principal and CEO of James R. Road English High School, Sharjah Boys, for being with us today. Thank you, sir, for being instrumental in giving us this wonderful opportunity to meet an illustrious personality like Mr. George Abraham. Last but not least, our sincere gratitude to our executive principal and senior leadership team for paving the way for this to happen. Thank you and have a great day.
Requesting the students to remain seated.